The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your SuperChats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
Another day from the NFL Scouting Combine. Aaron Glenn's superpower comment is turning heads. With great power comes great responsibility. It is the Jake Asman Show, live from Indy, and it starts right now.
Live, Radio Row in Indianapolis. It's Combine time as teams look for their next superstar. Some of the biggest names in sports and entertainment will be right here. Get ready for the 2026 draft, baby. It's the Jake Asman Show.
Here we go, Jet fans. Welcome in, everybody. We are presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Smash the like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. You don't want to miss a big interview, a big moment, a big rumor, anything that's happening here in Indy. We are all over it from an NFL and, of course, from a Jet perspective. Big thank you to all our guests so far. We dropped the interview I did with Mike Florio on the channel this morning, so check that out. We had Jordan Reed on the show yesterday, ESPN draft analyst, and I got some big names that are going to be joining us throughout the remainder of the week. Names like Dan Graziano, who will join me live coming up in about 10 minutes. Kimberly Martin, also from ESPN. Dane Brugler, Connor Rogers, Trevor Sikkema. So we are locked and loaded with a lot to get into. And we start with the comment from the head coach. Play calling is my superpower.
Play calling is my superpower, really.
Look, it's fun to laugh at. We could have some fun in the offseason. But this is a notable comment from the head coach, because the bottom line is, when you say this, if the defense doesn't perform, if they look anywhere close to what they were this past year when they were a historically inept unit, didn't have one interception all year, that will never happen in the history of the NFL again. When you say that, if you're Aaron Glenn, when you say, no, the rumors of Woody forcing me to call the plays and not hire Wink, it's not true. I was still interested in Wink. Wink was still interested, even if he wasn't the play caller, but I went with Brian Duker instead, because he knows me from Detroit. If you say that, now you have to deliver. Aaron Glenn is basically saying, it's on me. You know, I think there's a lot of people probably inside the Jets building, talking to some people with the Jets last night. I'm sure Jets PR doesn't love the fact that this is now going to be like memed into an oblivion if the Jets stink, but Aaron Glenn's putting it on him. And that's truly the bottom line with his presser yesterday. He owned his mistakes in year one, which I think I could appreciate as a fan. He took accountability. It's all on him. If he's going to turn it around, it'd be a historic outlier. But at the end of the day, I'm a Jet fan, and I'd love to be wrong about this head coach. And he's putting it on him. He's saying play calling is my superpower. Go out and prove it. Go out and show us now that play calling is your superpower. Because while the defenses in Detroit got better year over year through his 4 seasons as a DC, he had an elite offense to rely on. He had Ben Johnson. He had Dan Campbell. He had a real quarterback in Goff. And the Jet fan, and specifically the Jets in 2026, we can't wait 4 years for you to finally produce a top 10 defense. We can't wait, right? We need results now. We need improvement now. So Glenn's not going to get, this multi-year process to fix the defense. You got 4 picks in the top 44. You have an enormous amount of salary cap space. Go fix the defense right now. Go fix it. That's what you have to do if you're Glenn. You have to get this done immediately. There's no time to waste. And we'll see if you could do it. For those who missed the full quote and not just the funny drop that Gator made.
Play calling is my superpower, really.
This was Glenn yesterday giving us the answer that has honestly been the talk of the combine from people I've spoken to.
To me, play calling is my superpower, really. Doing it for 4 years in Detroit. And, man, just look at the maturation of those 4 years of how we improved every year and how I improved as a play caller. I really miss doing that. And I think it's a huge part of helping us become the team that I see us become, the team that I knew Moose sees us becoming, the team that Woody sees us becoming. So that was a huge part of that. And I don't want to second guess that. And I will go back. When I say the mistakes that I've made, I'm not going to make that same mistake, and I feel like I need to do that when it comes to the team. When it comes schematically, who we're going to be, man, we have a number of guys on defense that's going to help be able to build that. And that's the fun part about building around these men is building a defense that I think that that's going to actually put the players in position to be successful. And this is not my defense. This is going to be the New York Jets defense. And everybody on that side is going to be a huge part as far as building next. So I'm excited about that.
Look, it has to be the Jet defense. It can't be the Aaron Glenn defense in Detroit. You don't have the same personnel. What good coaching is, right? Aaron Glenn had the famous line over the summer. It's coaching, man. It's coaching.
Coaching. It's coaching. What do you mean? Because he can do it. It's just coaching. That's all it is.
Well, what good coaching is, Aaron, is being able to take the talent you have and going out there and turning said talent into a scheme that fits the players you have, right? Oh, I need to get my guys. No, man, you got to take what you have and make it work. That's the NFL. You know, you don't get year over year all this time to build out your system, your scheme. You got to take talent and make them better. You got to design a defense that fits the players you have. And you have a lot of personnel that you could add to this team given the enormous amount of resources the Jets have. So Glenn is putting it on him. But we have to hope that just like how Glenn loves to talk about how, yeah, you know, I was a first-year coach. I made a lot of mistakes. And it's like, dude, you were talking like you were a 10-year coach a year ago. You were arrogant. The messaging was all about winning now. You took shots at Robert Saleh's staff. Oh, the last 4 minutes belong to the head coach. You know, we're going to be a smart, disciplined team. It's coaching, man. Justin Fields, we're going to let him play quarterback. He's never been allowed to do that. We could go down the line. Everyone knows. But now, like, you don't get, oh, well, you know, I was a DC in Detroit. It took me 4 years to get a top 10 unit. Like, you got to hope that if you're a Jet fan, which I am, and I assume many watching the show are, you got to hope that Glenn could pick right up where he left off as far as this superpower of play calling that he claims to have. And the one thing you got to question, too, when he says this.
Play call is my superpower, really.
Well, at any point did you think to try and help Steve Wilks? I know this for a fact. Robert Saleh at times would take over play calling in the middle of games from Ulbrich. Ulbrich was still the play caller, but there were moments where Saleh was heavily involved in the defensive play calling. It was never official. It was never reported on, but you got to trust me on this one. There were moments where Saleh would take over. Did Glenn ever do that once this past year? Like, the job of a head coach is the problem solve beyond anything else. Can Glenn problem solve? Well, he thinks problem solving is calling the plays. Well, he's got to go out there and prove that. He's got to go out there and now show us that he's going to be able to go out there and fix this defense. Because, again, I think if you're a fair Jet fan, you're not expecting Aaron Glenn to magically fix the offense with Frank Reich and whatever bridge quarterback option they bring in. Or whatever, like, swing they take in the draft on day 2 or day 3. But how does Aaron Glenn get a third year? Someone asked me this with a different team last night. Well, he's got to win at least 7 games, in my opinion. And the arrow's got to be pointed up. We got to be able to see, like, real, tangible improvement. Right? Saleh only won 7 games, but you saw guys get better on defense. And it was like, if we could get him a quarterback or if Rodgers got healthy, like, there was enough. I know people didn't love Saleh, but there was enough to at least be optimistic that he could turn out to be a good head coach. With Glenn, you got nothing in year 1. You know, it was a running joke. What does he do well as a coach? What are his strengths as a coach? Well, if his superpower was play calling and he didn't use it, he basically gave himself kryptonite by choice. He basically said, nah, I'm good. I mean, that's really what happened. So, look, time will tell. But you got to hope that Aaron Glenn could go out there and truly learn from what happened in year 1. He's big on, I've improved everywhere I've been. He's big on, you know, these mistakes I made, he said it yesterday, will not happen again. Well, let's see. Right? Let's see. Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. Ladies and gentlemen, across our shows today, we're giving away this. A signed helmet by number 80, Mr. Third Down, Wayne Krabet.
And here we go. Let's go. Let's go.
Gift a membership for your chance to win, or send in a $10 super chat for your chance to win. You will qualify with either method. We allow the super chat entries because people watch on their phone, and for whatever reason, Mr. YouTube, Mr. Tube won't allow you guys to gift from the iPhone. But I want to shout out Frank P, because before the show even started, Frank P made his presence felt with a 10 spot of gifted memberships to the community. Hit it.
J-E-T-S, Jets. I love Fireman Ed, too.
If you see your name on the list, you're a member. Jug Artist, Analyst J, Antonio Montaigne, Nam Bird, Big Lubinsky, Charlie Boy, Jay, The Ace, Friend Chris Church, and Camacho, all receiving a gifted membership. But wait, there is more as we get some people in the raffle here on a very exciting Hump Day Wednesday, live from the NFL Scouting Combine. The Rooster in the house, in for 5.
Play call is my superpower, really.
And for the Rooster, it is gifting memberships. If you hear your name, you're in our raffle today. Joey Barone, Sir Slaughter, Manny D, Rosanio, Ravello, and David Barge, all receiving a gifted membership. I want to remind people that are just tuning in this week or who have forgotten, we got 3 great prizes during our weekly raffle this week. Joe Namath signed helmet. Darrell Revis signed helmet. Garrett Wilson signed football. Let's go. Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. We're going to be joined by several guests on both our live shows and, of course, some interviews I will roll on the channel, like an interview I rolled in earlier today with Mike Florio. So watch that. Common Country watched it, and he sends in a $10 super chat. He's in the raffle for 2. Your interview with Mike Florio and mine, what are your thoughts on the idea of players only getting 17 games in an 18-game season? Seems like a messy idea. I detest that idea. I'm surprised the NFL is even considering that, according to Mike. He said that he's working on trying to confirm everything before he publicly reports on it, but he did give us that nugget yesterday during the conversation. I think this would be a terrible idea. You only get to play in 17 games in an 18-game season? That's nonsense. Just schedule another bye week. Start the season a week earlier, and then the season could still end President's Day weekend with people not having school and most people not having work that Monday. This would be a terrible idea, Common Country. I don't know where the chat stands on this, but imagine you have an 18-game season and you can only play in 17 games. Now, I guess if you're injured, like it just sit you out and that would count. But imagine like you're healthy and like the Jets couldn't play their best player. They couldn't play Garrett Wilson for a game because, it's an 18-game season. They're in the middle of a playoff race. They need every game. You got to have a strategy involved when to sit one of your best players. This would be terrible. You either play it or you don't. Right? As Herm said, you either play to win the game or you don't. You don't play it to just play it, is what he said.
Hello? You play to win the game.
You don't play it to just play it, was the end part of that quote. This would be a terrible idea. Bino writes it, Jacob, trust me, bro. My superpower is infinite.
Play call is my superpower, really.
Look, this is going to be just memed into an absolute oblivion if the Jets stink, right? The first time the Jets go out there and they lose, 31-10 to the Patriots in week 2. That is just going to be everywhere, is it not? Like it's that quote's going to be used against Glenn. It's going to be unbelievable. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be joined by our first guest today, ESPN NFL reporter Dan Graziano is going to be sitting down at our table. We'll talk all things football, combine, and much more with him. Keep it right here. You're watching the Jake Asman Show. We will be back after these short words. Hit it.
Hey, Dave Briggs called you a fraud.
Fuck you, Dave Brigger.
Whoa!
He needs to check up on his language, number one. Get a job.
Fuck you.
And I put up, a few good times and a lot of bad times. So I really don't appreciate guys that just pick up and leave and become Colts fans, who, by the way, were our opponents in Super Bowl III that we beat.
Fuck you, Dave Brigger.
So don't speak to me in that manner. That doesn't bother me as much as you being jobless and being a Colts fan.
Fuck you, Dave Brigger.
Why did you block the big fella?
That's between him and me.
What don't you like about me?
I'd rather not discuss this in the public.
I bust balls and stuff like that, but I've always tried to help you, no matter what.
I appreciate that. It's not because I don't like you.
Gator says that you're a douche-faced, chicken soup-eating, jobless trader with a bad haircut. Now, this would be an example of Gator trolling you because he's just messing with you. Don't take this seriously.
I gotta do some soul searching. One of the people said I need to do some soul searching. People want me to pack my bags and leave. Well, I'm sorry. This is America, and I'm staying right here. I pledge allegiance You damn right.
A few calls later, Charles was openly questioned how he was able to afford submitting so many gifted membership.
Are you catfishing people and scamming others after you yourself were scammed?
I am not scamming anybody.
Charles has been doing some male exotic dancing on the side for some
They're just
extra.
making up crap. Are you serious right now?
Leon says Charles has started a catfish company and the first IPO came in.
I'm getting money from the government. Why does that matter? I'm not doing OnlyFans. If I was doing OnlyFans.
Some wondering if he was partaking in possibly making deposits at the local sperm bank.
Are you working at a sperm bank?
I'm not doing anything sperm related.
I was just reading the comments here from Gator.
This team is a disgrace.
Charles' personal and love life were also thrust into the spotlight when he openly asked longtime show viewer Rebecca if she would, quote, deflower him.
Oh, and I heard Rebecca said she wanted to marry a guy like me. Well, Rebecca, I would love for you to deflower me.
Whoa. Keep it in your pants, Gorman. This is a family show.
I was told to say it, so...
I don't care who told you to say it. Sick.
I'm an idiot.
Oh, someone told me to say it, so I have to say it. Oh, I'm Charles Gorman.
I didn't really watch the game because I was with a friend. I was at the Woodbridge Center Mall.
This is a...
Hey, here's the deal. Just got no chance unless you click on that like button. And you got to make sure you subscribe to the Jake Asman Show. You don't, you can get the f*** out. Now let's go, Asmaniacs. We're built for this shit.
Live from Radio Row here at the NFL Scouting Combine inside the Indiana Convention Center. We're back, and we're joined by ESPN NFL insider, longtime reporter. Used to cover the Yankees. I was reading his work at the Star Ledger years ago.
Lifetime. That's cool. You got Aaron Glenn to do that for you.
Very nice of him to shout out the Asmaniac community.
Excellent.
Dan Graziano is our guest. What's Combine like for you? What are some of the big things you look forward to every year?
I just, running into anyone and everyone in the league. That's why I come. Like, it is. Like, I don't stay for the weekend and the workouts. Like, I'm here. Yesterday, I had meetings set up with, like 9 GMs and a couple head coaches, and I got a few more like that today, and just and then just walking the hallways and running into people, that I know from past years, or I'm here to meet people in new jobs, and then of course there's the evening activities where you hang out in the bars and get the really, really good stuff.
Yeah, you got to balance the, I got to be up early for these 8 a.m. prospect interviews and also try to make sure you get some good nuggets. Can you take us inside? Because I think my audience would find this interesting from like a reporting standpoint. How do you build up over the course of a career sources that you can trust? Like, how do you know that, hey, someone's not just telling you something just so you could put it out there and maybe try and change a narrative or kind of keep people looking in a different direction when the team is actually trying to make sure that people don't know they're actually thinking about doing this?
First of all, you don't that is the case most of the time, and it's important to be able to identify, like, why is this guy's not telling me this because I'm a good friend of his, right? It's because it can do him and or his client some good. So you balance it, you run it by somebody else. Hey, is this true? Is this the way you view this as well, or am I getting a one-sided story? And then you just kind of have to figure out sort of where the truth probably lies, or ideally definitely lies. And then put it out there responsibly. You do. I mean, look, there's plenty of race to get it first where you can tell it's just one source stuff and it's one person's point of view. And you kind of wish that somebody had made a second call. I try to be the kind of guy that does that. And, but to the big picture question, building up sources over time, it's just building trust. Like, these relationships, talk about Combine. Like, there are people that I call or text all year, and this week's the only time I ever see them in person. And so you have to maintain that relationship. It's much easier to get a call back from somebody who knows who you are, who's met you, who's had, a beer or a burger with you in Indianapolis. So, and then it's like, look, hey, I'm working on this story. Can you help me out? And they know that they can trust me with information and how to present it. Not necessarily like I'm going to do it the way they want, but they know I'm going to be fair about it. They know, like, they can tell me something and, I'm not going to just report it in a way that comes back to burn them. Right. So it's just really time, honestly. Like, when you start doing this, I switched from baseball to football after 14 years and had to build an entirely new network of sources in a different sport. And it takes, like, the first year was frustrating. The second year was frustrating. By the third, fourth year of doing it, you start to, okay, well, here's where I can kind of make some inroads, and you just kind of work on maintaining that over time.
And then going from someone who was covering, the NFC East, you were covering the Giants, of course, a lot of Giants fans knew you well from that, to then covering the whole league. What is the scope of work? What are some of the biggest differences from a specific team or a specific division to now kind of covering the entire league?
Yeah, I mean, it's more about locking in on what you're pursuing. Like, I'm not going to get every, I'm not going to be like, what am I working on this offseason? Are there 2 or 3 or 10 or 12 situations that I'm watching particularly closely that I can kind of feel like, I can take some level of ownership of that story as it moves forward. The TV work I do on Get Up or NFL Live directs some of it too. Maybe I'll expend more of my energy on one particular story, one particular team, if I know we're talking about that team the next day or throughout the week. So, covering the Giants, covering the NFC East, you went to those games, you went to those training camps, you met people with other teams, scouts that come through the press box, a GM or an assistant GM here and there. And you just try and maintain that network, because in this league, the guy that works for the Giants is going to be working for somebody else in 2 years. And now you have maybe a source on that team. So, again, just time and building it out and making sure that, get in front of the right people.
So when I watch you on Get Up, oftentimes you got Granny, of course, hosting the show. Mm-hmm. You got Kimberly Martin, who's on, and she used to cover the Jets for Newsday. Yeah. Damian Woody, former Jet, good friend of the show. Obviously, Bart Scott, who I work with all the time at ESPN New York.
Rex Ryan.
Yep. I do a Sunday show for 4 hours every week with Mike Tannenbaum. Are you sick of the – yeah, Mike was making the rounds. Yeah. Are you sick of the Jet presence that you have to deal in?
You're saying we're a little jet heavy there? Do you think that's because of the host? I think maybe he directs some of that? I don't know. Yeah, it's funny because when I did start covering the NFL, it was right around the time that Rex Ryan was taking the Jets to the AFC Championship game a couple years in a row. So living in New Jersey at the time, I would go to Jets and Giants because it was accessible, and I'm trying to get into these locker rooms and meet some people, just get a sense of what it's like to cover the league. And those Jets locker rooms, when Rex was there, were unbelievable. And I always tell Damian Woody and Bart Scott, they don't even remember this, but like those were two of the guys that helped like teach me a lot about the NFL and like going into like just being able to go to their lockers and say like, hey, I'm new at this, so some of these questions are going to be maybe a little rudimentary. But they were two of the most helpful people. I'm not surprised they're doing TV and radio. like I think they're very smart, and they come off as people that can educate. So I'm not surprised that those teams produced a good chunk of our roster, given what it was like to cover them.
Are you just in disbelief that the Jets' playoff drought has been as long as those guys have been away?
Yeah, obviously it's not. I mean. Yes, obviously you see so much turnover in the standings every single year. Even the Giants, as bad as it's been for them, they'll pop the occasional 11-win season.
Right. Even the Browns, people are like, the Browns. Right. It's like they had 2 coach of the year seasons where they made the playoffs with Kevin Stefanski.
They won a playoff game one. Yeah. So, yes, it is surprising. It is unfortunate. It is tied to a large extent to their inability to find a solution at the quarterback position and stick with a plan for more than a couple of years. So, it's got to click one of these times. I don't know what they're going to do at quarterback this offseason. They don't know what they're going to do at quarterback this offseason. So they've got to get it right one of these years, or else they're never going to be able to build anything sustainable. You might get a season where you win enough to get in the playoffs, but what you're looking for if you're the Jets is something that lasts.
So you just said the Jets don't know what they're going to do at quarterback. This is kind of the week where some of those rumblings start. Teams start talking with agents for potential players or trades with other teams.
Theoretically, that's illegal, but sometimes they have some mysterious way of finding out what the market is.
Of course, just magically contracts are agreed to in 5 minutes after the
combine's a magical place.
So, just from a Jet standpoint, what have you heard? Obviously, an enormous amount of pressure on the head coach going into year 2. He said yesterday that he's learned from his mistakes. It won't happen again. He even has a quote that is going to be memed everywhere if the Jets stink about his superpower being calling plays on defense, which is now going to happen. So just what have you heard?
Why didn't you do it last year then? So the Jets, I believe this is going to be their approach at quarterback. I think they do not think there's a slam dunk answer in the draft unless they could get to number 1, which they're not going to do.
And Darren Mucci, their GM yesterday, even said it's not going to happen.
Right. So I think they'll probably talk to and work out some of these guys that are late round prospects that maybe drop because they had injuries, find out what's out there. But I think their focus will be free agency and what they can do there. So I think right now they have a sense of like what's possible. And in their minds, there are, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different tracks. If we get this guy at quarterback, this is what we should put around him. If we get this guy at quarterback. So I think they have a sense of who might be available. I don't think they have a sense of where they're going to land because I think they're open-minded about it, which is a good idea. So they also, I was surprised. I mean, Justin Fields is on the roster. I was thinking that's an auto cut, but I think they don't feel compelled to because they don't have one of these contract situations where guaranteed money kicks in after a certain date. Like he's got $10 million guaranteed whether he's on the team or not, and that number's not going up or down. So they can wait. They can keep him around as a fallback option.
They can wait till June 1st if they wanted to and save money on their cap if they want to wait and release him then, or just designate him as a June 1st cut.
Yeah, but again, like the dead money's not going to be bad because the contract was what it was, and they have to pay the salary anyway, or half the salary anyway. So I think they really feel like they have a lot of options. The question, of course, is can they land on the right one and then build it out around him? They like the young receivers that they got in the middle of the season last year. They think there's potential there. They think there's potential with Mason Taylor. It sounds like they're going to bring Breece Hall back one way or the other. They like their offensive line, although, obviously you can never have too much of that. Wouldn't be surprised to see them use another high pick there. Those have been working out well for them. So, figure it out on defense, what the defense is going to look like, what personnel changes you need to make, and then find that quarterback because they feel like, there are some things about their roster that they like.
How can Aaron Glenn possibly get that third year if there's no clear path to a quarterback? And in today's NFL, barring a real outlier, like you're kind of capped around, maybe 7, maybe if all things are great, 8 wins. Like it's tough. Robert Saleh built the top 3 defense, and the inability to have a quarterback with the Jets, the best they ever did was 7 wins. They started 6-3 one year, and then unfortunately Mike White got hurt. That probably cost them a chance at the playoffs, but that's really it. They just have not had that quarterback play.
So what they win last year? 3, 4?
3 games.
Yeah. So 8. Be pretty good.
I think he'd be back if that happens. But like that's like on the high end.
So
right?
if you get to 6, 7, 8, and you feel like there's progress being made, hey, we might have something at quarterback with whoever. We feel like this team showed growth throughout the season. We feel like it responded well to Aaron Glenn, even if that didn't translate into wins. 6 of our losses were by 3 points or less, like those kinds of, these are hypothetical, but I mean, those are the kinds of things when you get to the end of the season, even if you haven't made the playoffs in Aaron Glenn's second year, ownership can feasibly say, all right, but there's reason to feel good about it. And I think that's, that it's hard to sort of put your finger on what that looks like, but those are the kinds of things that you'll be looking. You want to feel like the organization is moving in the right direction by the end of this year.
Anyone I've spoken to, whether it be here or Radio Row at the Super Bowl, I was down in Mobile talking to a bunch of just NFL people that were there scouting all the players. You talk about Aaron Glenn, it's like, man, like, I don't know. It's a surprise he's still even employed. You talk about Darren Muji, though, you got a way different answer. Like people were really impressed by his scouting acumen, the extraction of value on some of the trades they made.
Picks for Sauce Gardner.
Right,
Yeah.
and even just getting like a second and the better of the ones from Dallas between them and the Packers, like that was a smart deal. It feels like we might have a GM if you're a Jet fan, but like in your opinion, just talking with people, are they attached at the hip no matter what? Is there a path where Muji's here and Glenn's not if he can't turn it around?
Specific to the Jets, I can't say that I have like any internal information that would answer that. I think big picture, when you look at the league, you often see the GM have the ability to bring in more than one coach, right? The GM's tenure tends to last a little longer. Sometimes you see it. Well, no, actually, Atlanta, he was there longer than Raheem Morris was. They got fired together. So, I think Aaron Glenn is under pressure to perform. Like his first year was rocky. Like the press conferences were rocky. They didn't have an interception, for God's sake. Like, I mean, like
he was a former great corner.
Cornerback. Like that must drive him insane. So, he has to. I think you want to come out of this year feeling like, that guy looks like the guy we thought we were hiring. And inside the building, there are people that do feel that way. But I think you want to see growth from a young head coach who's doing it for the first time too.
How about pick 2 in the draft? It feels like this is not like the year Will Anderson was coming out and after the quarterback's best non-quarterback, or Abdul Carter even last year. They could go in a lot of different directions at 2.
I think so. Or, trade back and add value if you move back a couple of spots.
Who's coming up?
And
you think there's a team that would?
Right, because usually that's only for quarterbacks. So, you get the high impact guy there, whether it's on defense. I think it's probably defense for them at that point. And, they have some needs on that side of the ball. So get somebody who can rush the passer or be disruptive on defense and feel good about that. But, I don't think you force quarterback there. And to your point, trading back sounds good, but unless somebody's coming up for a quarterback, it's hard to execute those trades.
Give us your thoughts on the Giants now with Harbaugh and how quickly they could potentially turn things around.
Yeah, I mean, Harbaugh's a winner. The program will be rock solid. The question is health of the roster. You keep Andrew Thomas healthy. Is Malik Neighbors going to come back healthy? Is Cam Scadaboo going to come back healthy? Is Jackson Dart going to stay healthy? And then, you need to add, I think, probably on the back end of the defense. But Harbaugh the organization will be competently run. Like you'll be able to see it. The question is, how quickly can they build a roster that can win games on the field?
Knowing what you know about John Mara and Woody Johnson and kind of that rivalry between the Jets and the Giants, say the Giants do turn it around and Harbaugh is right now the toast of the town. He's doing every media hit and obviously people are very excited in the Giant fan base. Do you believe, Dan, that say the Jets struggle and it doesn't work out with Glenn, Woody Johnson will see the success the Giants are having and finally be inclined to say, hey, enough is enough. I got to get a proven head coach who's done it at a high level before, like exactly what the Giants just did by hiring Harbaugh in the first place.
Maybe, but I mean, John Harbaugh's don't hit the market every offseason. So
Mike Tomlin, Sean McDermott a year from now.
I get, absolutely. Those guys will be out there. Yes. So maybe, I mean, look, I don't know. I like Aaron Glenn. I hope he turns out to be a good head coach, like personally. And I think he's obviously got the talent to do it. I was a little surprised by some of the ways it wobbled his first year, especially considering he has experience in the market. So hopefully, he irons out those aspects of his game that need to be ironed out and they find him a quarterback and they don't have to answer those questions.
Do you think he'll change his approach with the media?
I hope so. I don't think that's I don't want to be a media member that sounds like he's overinflating his own importance, but I do think it matters, especially in that market. And I think, he's smart enough to know that.
Dan, we appreciate you hopping on. Let me end with this. What is your favorite restaurant in Indianapolis that you have to hit every year when you're at the Combine?
The answer 2 years ago was a Mexican place called Nada, but it closed. And so, it's like steakhouse on top of steakhouse on top of steak. The new steakhouse at the JW Marriott's pretty good, actually. But, yeah, I don't know. We ate at an Italian place last night, kind of off the beaten path called Iario's, something like that. Really good, like red sauce.
I'm gonna look. I'm not trying to stereotype, but Dan Graziano recommending Italian. I feel can't go wrong.
It didn't taste unlike what my grandmother would throw together on Sunday night when I was growing up. That's for sure. So yeah,
appreciate you hopping on. Great to catch up.
Take care.
Dan Graziano from ESPN, our guest, back with more from the Combine right after this.
As far as the famous Storms go, I would rank Storm Duck as number 3. Jason Allen Storm is number 2.
Do I look like a duck to you? Go fuck yourself.
You have no self-control, or you don't have the intelligence to execute the plan. He's got 4 chins. He doesn't have a shirt that fits him. He's built like a snowman.
You can't win!
Give me my Lambo keys. Get the hell out of my house. I can't win? You got this $1 million mansion in the Philly suburb. Get the hell out of my house.
Why can't you change your thinking? Everybody else does.
I can beat somebody. Look at the car you're driving. Look at the house you're living in. Me, that's me. I did that. My blood, sweat, and tears. Me.
Don't do this.
Like, you don't get to be down for the victory ride if you're not down for the climb. Like, get the hell out. You married a fighter. I will protect you.
Yes, you can.
I got you, okay? You build up my spirits when I don't want to go to the gym, when I don't want to work. Why did you marry a fighter? I was paid to fight. You pay me, I will fight you. That's the deal. You don't think I can win? Get the hell out of my house. Like, what are you here for?
You can't win!
If you're not pissed off as a Jet fan, I don't know what the hell you're watching. I don't know what the hell you're being positive about. I don't want to hear nothing positive. Not today. Year after year, the same bullshit. All you do is talk. Let me tell you something, Tony. Your fried fish is going down, baby, and y'all ain't getting no win against us. None this season, because y'all some trash. J-Tips, just
I got gas right now.
Beast Breaker is eating his first ever salad, folks.
So Gary, eat more salads, man.
Now, they're saying that that's not actually a salad here. A couple comments for you to respond to. Dana says, how the hell is that a salad, no green in it? I don't see any green. Where's the green?
I did watch. You want to go see?
Where's he?
1, 2, 3, and 4.
He just told us his pin.
That is the sexiest thing you're ever going to see. Okay, dickwad.
Dickwad, you are a moron. You're a fat, stupid
listen, take
idiot.
my fist
That's
or this
all you
baseball
are.
bat, grab
You're
it right down your
fat,
goddamn
you're
miserable,
stupid, you're lazy, you're
your
dumb.
fucking
All
mouth
those
apart.
qualities
Hey,
are you.
Shut the fuck up when I speak to you. dickbag.
Beast, you are a moron. I hope Jake and that idiot Gator are paying you very well. I really do.
You make Josh Allen look great on a planet place.
Beast, you are an idiot. You're always going to be an idiot.
I could not watch the whole game.
Is it true you didn't watch any of the game?
Running up and down the damn stairs, doing laundry, and also doing the other.
You claim to be a huge Jet fan. You're doing laundry during the game? You know you called it to a football show, right?
We know that.
But you didn't watch the football game. Tell us what happened on the Jets' first drive on third down, the big play that happened there.
Yo, I had blood work done 72 hours ago. You don't think I know
24 hours ago.
You don't think I got a fucking problem?
Hey, here's the deal. Just got no chance unless you click on that like button. And you got to make sure you subscribe to the Jake Asman Show. You don't? You can get the out. Now let's go, Asmaniacs. We're built for this shit.
Live from Radio Row inside the Indiana Convention Center. And joining us right now is one of the preeminent NFL draft analysts out there. You watch him on Pro Football Focus. You read his work there. You see him on the Stock Exchange podcast with good friend of the show, Connor Rogers. It's our guy, Trevor Sikkema. Trevor, welcome back to the show.
I appreciate you having me as always. It feels like these events, it's become a tradition to pop onto the show, so I always appreciate you having me back.
And it's always great to talk draft with you because you know the plight of the Jet fan working with Connor on Stock Exchange. So
yes.
You get it. You understand what we go through. And the Jets now, this offseason and next year with the 3 firsts, I mean, they kind of dominate the offseason conversation.
Oh, they absolutely do. I mean, as somebody who is in this business, honestly, because I loved the team building part of Madden growing up when I would play those video games, I mean, to be in the seat that Daramuji is in, to have 4 picks within the top, 45 of this year, and then 3 in the first round next year. It's kid in a candy store type of stuff of team building.
It feels like, at least at number 2, it's a weird year to have that pick. There's no obvious quarterback, of course, and it doesn't feel like at this point there's a clear consensus who the best non-QB is. So if you're in that seat that Muji's in, what would you do if you're the Jets?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I think that the Jets, since the order became final, they were kind of at this point praying that one of Arch Manning or Dante Moore was in this class because it'd make things a lot easier for them. They could get their franchise quarterback, and then they could use the rest of the picks to build around the team. But obviously, with that not being the case, it puts them in an interesting situation there at number 2. To me, I think this comes down to 2 players. Caleb Downs is one of them, and then Reuben Bain Jr. is the other one. Those are the 2 guys that I would decide between there for the number 2 overall pick. I think Caleb Downs is purely the best football player in this class. I mean, the way that he has played over the last 3 seasons, 3 different defenses, one of them is for Nick Saban as a true freshman becoming a starter. I mean, who does that other than Caleb Downs? I mean, the list is single-digit number of players, and Caleb Downs is one of them. So I understand people are going to say, like, do you take a safety at number 2? Like, I get it. There's the value conversation. I'm not trying to dismiss people totally with that we do have to have that part of the conversation. But when you look at this class, the way that it's constructed, the things the Jets need, how he could impact this defense, I think Caleb Downs could do so many different things for you. And then Reuben Bain Jr., to me, he's my favorite defensive lineman in this class. I've watched him over the last 3 years, specifically this year. I think a lot of people focus on, the shorter arms. Maybe David Bailey's a little bit better of a pass rusher. I think that Reuben Bain Jr. is a fantastic pass rusher in his own right. But who he is a total 3-down defender. Who he is as a run defender, how he affects the game. I mean, you go back and you watch this Miami tape. Miami would align themselves in an underfront where there's 3 defensive linemen basically even or to the left of the center, and then Reuben Bain Jr. is all alone to the right with his head up over the tackle or right next to where the tight end is. Keontae Scott's normally on that side as well, which kind of goes into the equation. But the team basically looks at it and says, hey, you got numbers to Reuben Bain's side. Go ahead. Run over there. See what happens. And a lot of the times what happens is he'd make the play himself despite being outnumbered and outmanned. That's the type of 3-down defender that he is. So to me, number 2 overall, if I'm the New York Jets, it'd be between one of those 2 players.
It's interesting because there's a conversation amongst Jet fans right now. Hey, at pick 2, are you drafting for the ceiling? Do you need to get that superstar? Or do you want just someone has a huge floor, a very high floor, and is a safer pick and maybe won't be the best player in the draft class, but he's going to be very good at the bare minimum. And if you're the Jets, you're coming off a 3-win season, same record as the Raiders, but because of strength of schedule percentage points, you don't have that top pick to get Fernando. For me, it's almost like maybe you call me scaredy cat, whatever, but I almost kind of want maybe the guy with the higher floor, just so you know you're not whiffing on the number 2 pick like they did with Zach Wilson, for example.
Sure, and I can understand being a little gun shy in that regard and having a little PTSD from some of the drafts that have happened. But I'll be honest with you, talking about these two guys, the ones that I just talked about, it's not really the ceiling's not very high for these guys. So, but the floor is, so we'll take them. I genuinely believe both of those two players could very well be the best player in this entire draft class. So for me, I don't even have to worry about that conversation with these two guys. Whereas, again, I know some people really like David Bailey a lot, who he is as a pass rusher. And
I know Connor likes him.
He does. And I can understand why. There's a world where David Bailey's Von Miller, right? I mean, like, that's sort of what you would be shooting for with a player of his caliber of explosiveness and bend and who he is as a pass rusher. So the highest potential ceiling, maybe it is David Bailey. But the ceiling of a Caleb Downs and the ceiling of a Reuben Bain Jr. ain't that far off. It's really within that same conversation. And I think the floor for both of those guys is much higher than David Bailey, who I get a little bit worried about as a total 3-down defender type of a player. So, again, there's a lot of options. Like, we didn't even talk about Arvell Reese necessarily, who I think is maybe in that conversation as well. But those two guys just stand out for me because of both the ceiling and the floor of what they could be for you.
Trevor Sikkema from PFF is my guest. We're presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. You brought up Arvell Reese. That's where I wanted to go next. He's right now the betting favorite at FanDuel to be pick number 2 at -115. Those are the latest odds. I mean, if they were to take him, it feels like you're betting on major potential there, because if you see him as an edge rusher, he just wasn't asked to do that a ton, it feels like, this past college football season.
100%. And I like him better as an off-ball linebacker anyways. Like,
would you take that guy too?
Again, I wouldn't take them over the first two guys that I mentioned that you'll have the opportunity to take. So, no, I wouldn't. Now, I like Reese. Like, Reese is going to be a top 10 player for me, I think. But I think that this week is pretty huge for him, because he said that he was going to participate in both the off-ball linebacker drills and the edge rusher drills on the field, which is good. We'll see how much of the athletic testing he does. I believe it was reported that he said he's at least going to do the 40-yard dash. But I'm going to tell you, he's got to test like an elite athlete, or we're going to stop talking about him at number 2 overall. Because if he tests even like a good, very good type of an athlete, again, there's Downs and Bain and even Bailey, like, they've got the certified tape that's better than Arvell Reese. So unless he tests like an elite athlete, I think you're going to start to hear the conversation really mellow down with him at number 2 overall, just because, like you said, you've got to project a little bit with him. He doesn't have that true edge rusher tape yet. He doesn't have that true coverage off-ball linebacker tape. I think he could develop that specifically as an off-ball linebacker. I'd love to pick him in the top 10 because of how talented and explosive and strong he is. But those other guys, they've sort of already shown it to you in the level in which you believe is translatable to the pros.
Back to Downs. So if they take him at 2, like, how quickly is he going to be one of the best safeties in the league? Because, again, if you're taking a player at that position that high, whether it's fair or not, like, the expectation is going to be, like, this guy's going to be incredible right away.
For sure. And look, defense as a whole, but specifically secondary, it's a lot about chemistry. You have to have the guys around you to be able to play really free, play really fast, play in different spots, have that customization, right? Like, Downs doesn't get to have the flexibility and the freedom that he has at Ohio State if he doesn't fully trust, Matthews and Igbenogson on the outside and the safeties that are next to him and Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese at the second level, right? Like, he doesn't necessarily get to have that freedom and that confidence. But all of that to say, I mean, my comp for Caleb Downs is Antoine Winfield Jr.
Wow.
And how good Antoine Winfield Jr. has been. And I think they're kind of similar athletically. And Antoine Winfield Jr. ended up going in the second round, obviously in a redraft format. He's going much, much, much higher than that. But that's sort of my comp of like what he can do as a free safety, as a strong safety.
How about Kyle Hamilton? Just because that's a recent example of a guy who fell to 14 when if you did a redraft, he would go before Kayvon Thibodeau, who went 5 that year.
In that sense, yes, but he's not built like Kyle Hamilton is. Like, Kyle Hamilton's a lot bigger. He's a lot longer. And I think that Kyle Hamilton's a little bit better of an athlete than Caleb Downs is. The same with Derwin, right? Derwin sort of plays that off-ball line, like second-level defender type of hybrid guy who, he's a safety, but he roams around the linebacker level. He plays a little bit of man coverage when it comes to matching up against tight ends. So those two guys are built a little bit differently as athletes than Caleb Downs, where I feel like Downs is built very similarly to what Antoine Winfield Jr. is. And that's the example that I keep telling people of like, hey, just because he's not built like Derwin doesn't mean he can't be an elite safety. Antoine Winfield Jr. is built exactly the way that Caleb Downs is, and he's an elite safety. So that would be my comp there for him. And just going back to sort of your question, I think that you could expect him to elevate the guys around him immediately in year one. Now, does that mean that the defense as a whole is truly taking a leap?
Well, I don't know if you heard this. Our head coach's Superpower is calling the defense.
He's calling the plays. I did hear that line. I did hear that line from him, and obviously I hope that that's the case because I want the Jets to have a lot better of a year this year. But, when it comes to him calling plays, to be honest with you, if he has Caleb Downs, a lot of the plays that he calls are going to be focused around what that guy can do on the back end.
Super chat from Bill. He's in our raffle. We're going to give away a signed Wayne Corbett helmet at the end of this live stream, so make sure everyone enters. We'll get caught up on the super chats in just a bit. But Bill writes, Trevor, are you happy with Downs' size? He looks small on tape. Definitely a different build from, say, Kyle Hamilton, who he's compared to.
Correct, right. And I think that just, again, that goes back to sort of what I said there, where I think a lot of people look at the comparisons they look at the versatility of Kyle Hamilton and they say, okay, well, he needs to be Kyle Hamilton, but he's not built that way. That's why I keep saying Antoine Winfield Jr. Winfield Jr. was a very worthy defensive player of the year candidate 2 years ago. Like, that's how good this guy is. And he's consistently been good throughout his career when he has been healthy. So yes, a little bit smaller of a build, but it's the same impact. You can have that much of an impact even if you are not built like Kyle Hamilton. But obviously how he tests, I think, is going to be important for him as well.
Okay, pick 16 for the Jets. It feels like, I was talking to Connor about this morning, feels like they could go in a myriad of different directions here. I mean, some of it could be also influenced by what happens in free agency. Do the Jets let AVT and John Simpson walk? Do they need a guard?
Right.
And then all of a sudden, maybe the Penn State guard is in play at 16. But you're the expert. I kind of defer to you. Let's say the Jets are there at 16. What are some of the realistic scenarios?
Yeah, so I'm glad that you brought up offensive line because we haven't talked a lot about offensive line for the Jets for, I would say, most of the offseason because they've had one of the better offensive lines in the NFL, not just last year, but also the projection, the ascension of what it could be in the next couple of years. But if you lose AVT and you lose John Simpson, well, all of a sudden 16, I agree with you completely. It becomes a realistic and maybe preferred even option for them to continue to address the offensive line. You still need that offensive line to be really, really good. And you feel good about the center spot. You feel great about the tackle spots. But if you're losing AVT and John Simpson, you're probably signing somebody to play one of those guard spots. And then, if you draft Vega Owane from Penn State, like you were mentioning, again,
I'm glad you know how to say his name because that's a tough one to say.
Well, the cheat for me here is that I shorten his first name. His first name is very intimidating to look at when you look at it fully spelled out, but his nickname is shortened is Vega. So I just go, Vega Owane. There it is. It's very easy. But yeah, I think that he's an option for them at number 16. I think that obviously you talk about offensive playmakers as well. Mekhi Lemon, Jordan Tyson, Carnell Tate, maybe even Denzel Boston, right? Those guys are in consideration for them there. I also look at nose tackle potentially, right? This guy like Caden McDonald or Caleb Banks, do either Peter Woods, either of those guys, any of those guys. Does that make sense for you at number 16 when you're really looking at your roster heading into the draft and heading into night one at the end of April? So I think those are the positions that I would probably look for is maybe offensive line, but then I'm really looking at defensive tackle and then wide receiver are the areas that I feel like I go to.
I was just about to ask you about Ty Simpson. So the super chat makes me laugh from Sam Aiken, who's in our raffle for 2 with this. Trevor, what would it take for Ty Simpson to succeed on the Jets? Calm down, Jake. So for some background, I'm vehemently against the Jets with a potential lame duck coaching staff taking a quarterback that everyone says he could be good. He's made 15 career starts, though, and he needs to sit and learn. I don't believe the Jets are equipped to actually let a quarterback sit and learn because if they start 1-4, I think they'd be tempted to go to Ty Simpson before he's ready. I don't trust the staff. They got the 3 first and 27. I'd rather just wait, and I know it's a risk, but I think next year's class will, in fact, actually be better at that position. So, again, if they take Ty Simpson as a Jet fan, I will root for him. But, talk to me how it actually could work with the Jets.
So I'll say that, I do like Ty. Ty is my QB2 in this class.
Do you have a first-round grade on him?
No, I don't. I don't have a first-round grade on him. And that obviously goes into kind of what I'll talk about in a second. But there are things that he showed this year that were really promising. And it wasn't just him sort of playing well at the beginning of the season. And then some people will be like, oh, they got tape on him. And then they figured him out. He struggled under pressure down the stretch of the second half of the season, but he was a little bit better in the college football playoff game, which was good to see, especially against a defense that gave him a ton of trouble earlier in the year. And they didn't give as much trouble the second time that they saw him in the college football playoff in Oklahoma, which that was good to see. He's somebody who makes protection calls at the line of scrimmage. He's making audible calls. He's going through progressions to the point where, okay, you could have a 3-read sail concept to your right. All right, all of those are covered. You're selling out to cover all of those routes. He'll hold on to the ball the way that he needs to and get into the backside dig that's coming across the middle of the field. field. Like, there's not a lot of quarterbacks in college football that do that. He can get under center. He knows how to get under center. So there are a lot of the NFL quarterback-y type of things that we saw from him last season. So I think that he can be a starter at the NFL level. I think he can win you games at the NFL level. You can feel good about him at the NFL level. But the timeline of where the Jets are is what makes this tricky. If it really is like everybody's kind of on the hot seat going into this season, then it becomes very tricky to draft a quarterback at number 16 overall, knowing that he's probably going to have an up and down season. I mean, you have to look at this realistically. Realistically, if Ty Simpson has what is an expected rookie year where he shows some promise, but obviously he struggles a little bit, probably under pressure. I mean, are the Jets winning 5 games and cleaning house? Because then at that point, if you tell me that a expected season from Ty Simpson gets everybody fired, no, why would you take him at 16? That would be terrible for you. Don't do that.
And then there's people that say, well, you have 3 firsts next year, so you just, you could take a chance on a quarterback. Why not? But I'm thinking to myself, wait a second, the 16th pick in the draft could be a phenomenal player.
Yeah, I would say don't waste it. And maybe that's naive because there's 2 types of teams in this league: teams that have a quarterback and teams that don't. Right? That's what they always say. So maybe it's a little bit naive to say, hey, yeah, why not use 16 on Ty Simpson, and then if you need to use a first rounder next year, you can. But I just don't love that process there. I would much rather the Jets. Do they have a lot of salary cap space?
They have a ton.
Okay. I would rather the Jets figure something out with a veteran quarterback who's going to be out there.
Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins could be one of them. Malik Willis could be one of them. Kyler Murray could be one of them, right? Murray's in a situation. Cardinals are kind of in a tough situation where they're either going to have to eat a ton of dead cap or they're going to they could release him, or the Jets might be able to. I was thinking about this the other day. Like maybe you're doing like a Brock Osweiler trade where you're not giving him a first, but like maybe you're giving him a second for Murray, but you're doing so in order for them to take on a lot of the money on his contract, most of it. And then you're essentially just taking all of the other teams that he might consider out of the equation, and you get to trade for him. It's just, you're not having to bid against a bunch of other spots for him. And so I don't know, like I like the veteran market for the Jets a lot more than I like drafting a rookie QB. I know Jets fans are in a spot where they probably want a young quarterback to be able to root for and invest in.
What about like pick 33, pick 44 of round 2? Is there a day 2 guy that makes sense? Or could they trade out and maybe get a third, which they don't have?
Yeah.
And then potentially take someone there?
Look, second round, all of a sudden, like, I'm cool with Ty Simpson in the second round because you're not really tied to him as much as you are for a first round selection. So like second round, I like the Ty Simpson thought process a little bit more simply because it's less value that you're investing in it. But I mean, Garrett Nussmeier is probably the second or the third quarterback off the board, in my opinion.
I liked him at Mobile when I was down there for what it was worth.
Yeah, I didn't mind him. I just don't. I don't think that he's going to be consistent enough to be a starting NFL quarterback. So I don't really love any quarterback in this class outside of Mendoza and Ty Simpson to be long-term starters for
This is the plight of the Jet fan, by the way, where you just said, hey, they have the second pick of the draft, 3 and 14, and there's not even like a day 2 guy that draft experts like.
Right. And it's a down quarterback class. It is. I know I'm not shattering any realities. I know Jets fans who are following these things closely already know that, but yeah, I mean, next year's quarterback class is just shaping up to be, at least at the very top, a lot stronger than what it is this year, because this year it's like Mendoza and then that's it. So
is next year, when you say it's going to be a lot better, are we talking like historic levels of like first round talent?
I don't know. I mean, I think the potential is really high. Of course, like saying that the next year's quarterback class is going to be better. I mean, the grass is always greener, right? No matter what in the next draft class. But in theory, you've got Arch, who's going to come out. Arch Manning's going to come out. Julian Sand from Ohio State. Dante Moore is going to be in next year's class. And then you get into the wild cards, right? Like DJ Lagway, does he bounce back? Somebody who's got all the talent in the world who just has not developed, did not develop when he was at Florida. Now he's at Baylor. Dylan Raiola, you would throw in there as well. Somebody who has NFL talent but hasn't had the consistency yet. And those are 5 quarterbacks that I think have overall NFL talent that I'm not even naming guys who might be like late breakout players that we're not even talking about yet.
What about
right?
like Jaden Mayava or Darren Mensah?
Yes, absolutely. So those are absolutely like 3 guys that are also in that equation. So there are so many names that you could think about for next year's quarterback class where even if they all don't develop, you probably like the prospects of taking one of those guys next year over forcing it this year.
And look, I hope it doesn't end up like this way because I'd rather the Jets be good this year, but potentially pair up the new head coach with his picked quarterback he wants to align himself with.
Right, exactly.
A couple quick hitters for you. So the wide receiver position, a lot of Jet fans would love one of the quote-unquote big three to make it to 16. Does the Jordan Tyson medical situation actually make it possible for him to be there at 16 for the Jets?
100%. I think that with Tyson not doing anything here in Indy because of that hamstring injury, I get really worried about that from an NFL team perspective of where he could go. I mean, I think that he's the most talented wide receiver in this class. But his injury history and him not being able to do anything at the combine, I really do wonder if the range for him is now late first, early second for Jordan Tyson.
Late first,
wow. Yeah. I because
pick 33 to the Jets would be a home run.
I mean, he genuinely, you might be able to get him there because the NFL's they just don't take players that are damaged goods, man. And that's it. We are 2.5 months removed from the season, and your hamstring is still bugging you to where you can't run. Now, maybe that's an answer of like, hey, he doesn't have, he's not the biggest, the fastest long speed type of the player in the world. And so he doesn't want to get out here and run a slower 40 time than people might be projecting. Cause some people think he's, wide receiver one. So there's of course like the politics side of it of like, oh, like just the strategic, like, oh, I don't want to work out type of a thing. But I think Jordan Tyson's, draft range is all over the place, man. I think it's completely wide open when it comes to this injury history.
Oh, how about Mekhi Lemon and Carnell Tate? Is there any chance they're there at 16, or do the Jets have to move up if they want one of them?
I'm getting less and less confident that would be the case. Yeah, because especially if there's no Tyson left in the group, when it's just those two wide receivers and teams go, yeah, we got to get one of these guys. I think there's too many teams that would need a wide receiver. The Giants are one of them at number 5. The Titans, I guess, at number 4. We haven't talked about it a lot, but like maybe they could use one there. I mean, the Cleveland Browns at number 6, the New Orleans Saints at number 8, the Miami Dolphins at number 11, the Baltimore Ravens at number 14, maybe even the Rams at 13 long-term wide receiver. There's just too many teams that need a wide receiver, and these two guys are too rock solid for me to think that either of them would get to 16 at this point.
All right, final question. Doesn't have to be anything Jet related, just draft related in general. What is your boldest prediction for what happens over the course of this 2026 NFL draft? Last year was the Shedeur Sanders falling to the 5th round. No one saw that coming. Like, what's going to be like the crazy thing that you could see happening? A prediction of any sorts?
What immediately comes to mind is I think Sonny Styles gets drafted above Arvell Reese. Does that count?
I like that a lot.
I mean, yeah. I don't know how crazy that is because both are just really good football players. But like the off-ball linebacker talk is always very like, you can't take them high. They're off-ball linebackers. I think teams are just going to absolutely love Sonny Styles. Like I think Styles could go 5 to the Giants.
Really?
Like I genuinely think that he could go that high. I don't think he's going to go 4 to the Titans because the Titans have trench needs, and so I don't think that's going to happen. But like, 3 to the Cardinals, maybe even for starting. I think he's that good of a football player. And if he tests the way that I think he's going to test here in Indianapolis, he's going to test like an elite athlete. He was, from everybody who was over at his podium, I didn't get to it this morning, but everybody was saying he was just commanding the room.
He had the biggest crowd, I was told, too.
That Indiana tape that he had in the Big Ten Championship is the best tape that I've watched of any prospect in this entire class. It's not close. He had a crystal ball. He knew exactly where that ball was going every single play. The recognition was unbelievable. I think he's fantastic. And so I think the bold prediction is he goes above Arvell Reese, and the bold prediction is also I think he's a top 5 pick.
All right, last question. When you have to look at Connor Rogers' hair when you do podcasting with him, does it just make you jealous? Because I'm jealous at the flow he has.
It's tough. It's tough. But it's one of those things where it's good, right? You always want somebody who motivates you. You always got to be looking ahead. It's like the Matthew McConaughey quote where he's saying like, "Nah, my hero is me in 10 years or 5 years. I've got always something to chase." So every time that I log on with Connor and that we do a podcast and the flow is flowing, I remember. I've always got something to chase. It's always making me
The
better.
flow is flowing. Trevor, you're the man. Where can people find all your work?
PFF.com. That's where all the big boards, the mock draft simulator, all that great stuff is. And then, of course, the NFL Stock Exchange podcast with Connor Rogers.
Check it out. Trevor's one of the best. Appreciate you hopping on, Trevor.
Thanks, Jake.
Trevor Sikkema from PFF is our guest. Quick break. Back with more live from Radio Row here in Indy.
Hi, how are you? Bruce Hall. That's good.
Lane, what's up, Lane Kerner?
Hey, and I'm Jake, my brother. Do you have any other ideas about what you do now because the season's over?
I hope they draft really good players that help the Jets win.
I'm hearing that they might get, was it Knoble? Yeah. I see him going.
Wait.
I don't know.
Lane, who's Knoble?
The guy that the guy that was in college?
Well, a lot of these draft prospects were in college, so I'm trying to figure out who you're referring to. What position does Knoble play?
Was he because I think he plays in one of the college and stuff.
I don't know who Knoble is.
Yeah, Knoble. I forgot his last name. I would have to look it up.
All right.
And okay, thank you for taking my call.
Who's Knoble?
BJF, I'm gonna need you to figure out who this Knoble guy is. You're more of a draft guy than I am.
Knoble at 10. He's bust proof. Lane should get to announce. He should get to announce the draft pick. No matter who they pick, he should say we took Knoble.
That was a top 3 Lane call ever. You're welcome, Gator. I can't wait to see what you do with that one. We had everything in there. He gave us a Bruce Hall. He gave us this Knoble character. I don't know who he's talking about, but maybe we'll figure it out. Whoa, holy crap, I can't believe it. Lane Kerner's in the house. Choo-choo. We are all aboard the Lane train. Hello, Lane. You guys know when the Lane train calls in, this show could go anywhere, so buckle up. What's up, Lane Kerner?
Zach Wilson is not going to come back. Why don't you think he's going to sign still with the Jets? Is it because he's not good?
He stinks.
Oh, stinks? Yeah, same feeling.
The guy is terrible.
I said announce the draft picks.
Lane, I want you to announce a Jets pick. That would make my
yeah.
life.
I mean, who am I going to pick though for the draft? On the 2022 draft pick, the pick goes to Knoble out of college. Then they tell you who the players are from, and their families get excited. You sign him, he should be good going into week 1. Yeah, I know a lot of the football.
That was amazing. I love you, Lane. You're the best. What a draft pick. Lane, you are a national treasure. I think in classic Charles Gorman fashion, I saw a comment from Charles that said, "Who is Knoble?" as we played a full video explaining exactly who Knoble is. So, Charles, I go to you next. Do you still not know who Knoble is?
I think Lane Train's an idiot. I don't think he knows what he's talking about.
What do you mean he's an idiot?
He's making stuff up. Who's Knoble? I looked him up on the internet and he's not there.
He is. He went to college.
Guys, stop it. Seriously, I know the bullshit coming out of your mouth. It's bullshit.
Charles, I don't like your tone.
Here,
Charles.
how do you spell Knoble?
Charles, I don't need to dignify your nonsense. See you later. Get out of here. How do you spell Knoble? Doesn't matter how to spell Knoble. All that matters is he's one of the great prospects we've ever seen. More of your calls right now. Let's go to Jake Klein. What's up, Jake?
Well, actually, first off, for 1 second, who's Knoble?
No, he's a phenomenal prospect for the New York Jets.
I tried Googling. It said like amusement park things. I was like, I don't
know. No, he played at college.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'll Google it another time. But
see you later. Jake, thanks for the time. Charles writes in, enough with the chicken soup talk. I'm pissed because of the stupidity this show has succumbed to. Hello, Charles.
Enough with the stupidity. I understand this Lane Train guy may be a nice guy, but does he even know what he's talking about? I've been looking this Knoble guy nonstop. Here, I'll share my screen with you. I know you're laughing, Jake.
Yeah, I'm laughing.
Knoble.
Type in Knoble out of college. It comes right up. It's like the first search. Type it in.
I am out of college. There's no such thing as him.
You believe everything you see on the internet? You're telling me your Google is accurate right now?
Yes, it is accurate.
How is it possible, Charles, if Knoble's not real, that Gator was able to put together an entire draft profile?
Knoble. FP football player from college. He is 5'7", 109.8 LBS, prospect grade 0.0, production score 69, and an athletic score of 007. He's very good, gets flag penalties, but he's very, very good, and I'm very good at this, taking football players.
You're defending Lane Train. That's what you're doing.
He played for the Rhinos. You just saw it.
Jake, if you want to lose a subscriber, stop right now.
Charles, I will take Lane Train over anybody. So if you're going to unsubscribe to my channel over Lane Train, then you know what? You got to do what you got to do.
Stop defending Lane Train.
Charles.
He doesn't know what he's talking about, Jake. How about stop lying to yourself, stop lying to these people, and actually say the truth? I'm on your Discord, and one guy called Frankie Castle agrees with me.
Charles, I'll just keep playing Lane Train Sounders if you keep slandering the man.
I'm not slandering the man. I'm telling him. But you know what? I'm not in the mood right now. Goodbye.
Charles, thank you for the time. Well, people, are you Team Lane or Team Charles?
So when he was calling, he was so frustrated. He's like, Jake, I'm Googling it right now. And Jake, he's just following the kind of, the line, how ridiculous can we go? And Jake goes, are you really going to trust your search engine over what we're saying?
I'm glad this guy called in because he was slandered earlier, and I will not stand for this.
Hi, how are you?
The Lane Train. What's up, Lane Kerner?
How are you? Great. The two for this draft coming up, who do you take going into the 10th round for the draft? Do you take Brian, or do you want to take there's a lot of different players. Who do you think?
Who's Brian?
Yeah, the guy that he drafted. Brian, what's his last name? Brian, you know?
What's Brian's last name? Do you know?
I forgot. There's a lot of other ideas. So who do you see going to the Jets in the 10th round, in the first round?
I really want them to take Knoble, and you brought him up a couple times.
Yeah, I know. But what happens if they don't get him? Then what do you do? Do you maybe go after somebody else? I don't think we need anybody else. I mean, I think that, you're going to work around the whole team going into next year.
Great point. Lane, thank you for the call. I hope you had a good Sunday.
You too.
Hey, here's the deal. Just got no chance unless you click on that like button. And you got to make sure you subscribe to the Jake Asman Show. You don't? You can get the out. Now let's go, Asmaniacs. We're built for this shit.
Back at Radio Road, Jake Asman with you. Big thank you to our guests, Dan Graziano and Trevor Sikkema, for coming on. If you guys missed any of the interviews, my guy Gator McCluskey's been a huge help this week behind the scenes. He's going to be isolating those interviews, and we will post them as separate videos. But some of the best interviews we get, you take them when we're live. That way the audience gets a chance to ask questions. It all depends on the timing of the guest, but I'm working my tail off to make sure that we deliver you the best combine content on the draft, rumors on the Jets, and much more. Appreciate everyone. Hit the like button. Make sure you guys stay subscribed to the channel. A couple super chats I want to hit, but first I want to say happy birthday to the great Peter Castro. Neil wrote in that it's Peter's birthday. Peter is a real contender in Asmaniac Madness. That we know. Peter, have a great birthday. Thanks for all you do for our amazing community that we have here.
Oh, shit.
Now, don't be falling off any bikes today, Mr. Castro. Couple super chats here. Snoopy says, put me in the raffle. For those just tuning in, a Wayne Corbett signed helmet is the raffle prize on the show today. We'll give you until the end of this show to enter, and then the afternoon show. Let's go, Snoopy.
It's J-E-T-S, Jets. I love Fireman Ed, too.
When you enter, you also are in the weekly raffle. Would love to get some entries here. Garrett Wilson signed football. Oh, yeah. Signed Revis helmet. Oh, yeah. And a signed Broadway Joe Namath helmet as well. Bino earlier wrote it. Jacob, can you ask Dan if Glenn is in full Fugazi mode? I mean, we did talk about that. Good stuff with Graziano earlier in the show. Benji in the raffle for one, and then another 5 entries for Benji. He sent in a super chat. Says, love the show. Keep being great, Jake. Let's go, Jets. Benji, thanks for the support, man. None of this is possible without the best community in all
I
sports.
hug him every day. I hug him every day.
Give him a hug, Woody. You know it. Hey, Sam with a super chat here. He says, we have tons of cap space. Why not just re-sign AVT and Simpson together? Well, they already absorbed some like dead money from Simpson, which kind of tells me if they were going to bring him back, they would have worked out a deal before that hit. So I think Simpson's a goner. AVT, I think, is still a possibility. The tough thing with AVT is I was talking with some NFL people about this week. There's no gauge on what his market is. Like, what do you pay a guy who, when he's healthy, we know he's a Pro Bowl level guard, but he hasn't been healthy for 3 of his 5 years in the league? He suffered season-ending injuries 3 separate times. One injury happened before the year even started, his most recent one. Now, they weren't like, common injuries. The Achilles is a common serious injury, but like, a torn tricep twice, that just doesn't happen. So I think AVT is going to get paid by someone. I hope the Jets can work out a prove it type of deal with him. But if he's going to get a ton of money, I don't think it makes sense for the Jets to sign him. I think they got to do what other teams do and just draft someone and develop them. You don't need to have first-round picks all over your offensive line. Now, I will make the exception of signing Linderbaum because I think he's the best center in football. And if I'm looking at it from a Jet standpoint, elite players like that just don't hit free agency. So if he actually were to hit free agency, I would adjust my stance. But I'm just not going to go there just yet. We'll see what happens. But again, I would try and bring AVT back. And if not, we're going to have to talk about that guard from Penn State at 16 as a real possibility because it might just be best player available at that point. Comments, questions, super chats. They cut the line. Ladies and gentlemen, we are presented today by Cheers. Let me talk to you about Cheers. I've actually been using Cheers since I was in Houston. They used to be a sponsor on ESPN Houston. So Cheers is awesome. This is a real personal ad for me, especially this week, right? You know how it goes. You watch a Jet game on Sunday, you have a couple drinks responsibly, or you're at the combine and you're out late having a couple drinks responsibly, and then you wake up feeling a step slow, workouts feel heavier. And if you wear an Apple Watch or a Whoop, the numbers, they don't lie. Your sleep and readiness, it takes a huge hit. That's why I love Cheers Restore. This is not just about dehydration. Alcohol impacts your brain and your liver. Cheers Restore is a dual action after alcohol aid designed to support both. It was actually created by a Princeton student after researching a compound called DHM that showed powerful alcohol-related effects in the brain and liver. And this stuff's legit. Cheers has been on Shark Tank. It's sold in over 30,000 stores like CVS, Walgreens, and 7-Eleven. They sold over 50 million doses. Probably have had about 1 million myself. And it has thousands of top reviews. It's also backed by doctors. So check it out. The promise is simple. You feel about 50% better the next morning or your money back. Just take 3 capsules after your last drink or before bed. This is for normal adults enjoying a few drinks responsibly, not college-style nights. So here's the play. Same night out, way better morning. Head to cheershealth.com. Use my code ASMAN for 20% off your entire order. That's cheershealth.com, code ASMAN. And after you purchase, make sure to tell them the Jake Asman Show sent you. Again, shout out to Cheers, brand new sponsor this week at the Combine. And you see the info in the description. You see it on the screen. Cheershealth.com. Use that promo code so you can get 20% off your order. Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. We have another special guest that will be joining me in a couple of minutes. But right now, let's hit a couple of your calls. We go to Southern Jet. Rich is first today. Hello, Rich.
Good morning, Jake. How you? Oh, good afternoon.
Morning, Rich.
Yeah, 2 things. One, I'm very disappointed in his Glenn's press conference. Again, it reiterates to me that he's low IQ because he's again saying things that a normal coach would never say, like last year. The things he said, besmirching other coaches by, you got to coach them up. And this Superman thing is already on AI. I did a question on AI this morning about what's Glenn's viewed perception as a defensive coach, and it came up and it said Glenn views himself as having a superpower, and it's already out. I mean, it's already there. Like you said, when it blows up early in the year, the memes. The first meme is going to be Superman and a bizarro Superman. The guy with the weird face. But I ask you this: if you're with your family, your friends, the group of people you work with, and you're the strongest man in the world, and you see one of your loved ones or friends have a log fall on their leg, and people are trying to pull it off. Do you sit off to the side? That's why what he said was so stupid. If he has a superpower of coaching it wasn't like it was average defense last year. It was a debacle. It was embarrassing. We had to walk around with paper bags. Wouldn't he have stepped in and done something? That's my first point. My second point that I wanted to talk about was I like Reese and the safety. Now, to get how far, if the safety dropped to 7, we points wise with the NFL draft chart, trading our 16 and our second pick in the second round, that would equal the trade chart to go up and get both those guys just to jet fuel our defense. What would you feel about that?
Well, if they could do it, I'm not against it because it feels like the talent level has a precipitous drop off right around where that pick would be the Jets would be trading it. So
exactly.
I'm not against it, Rich. I just think you got to also kind of see draft night how the board is playing out, because what if one of the receivers starts to fall and you don't have to trade anything to get them, and then you could kind of stick and pick. I think it's tough pre-free agency to truly know how I would feel about that type of move.
The reason I brought it up is when I was researching Glenn this morning, because I'm not a fan of his Detroit defenses, but it did say that last year when they did play well, almost all of the statistics they got came in the red zone, stopping it. And that's that's when your that's when your linebackers and your safeties, they come into play. And I'm wondering if they had that opportunity where Downs is there, at 7, and they only have to move, it'd be pretty hard to say no, to be quite honest with you, to do that. Now again, free agency makes a big difference. I'm sure they're talking trades with teams right now. So, if all of a sudden we go out and who's the top wide receivers in free agency? Do you know?
Well, it could be Wan'Dale Robinson. It could be Alec Pierce. It could be Michael Pittman if they just release him and end up keeping Pierce. It sounds like Pickens is going to get tagged by the Cowboys. So we'll see. It's a limited thing. The guy I like is Romeo Doubs if they're going to spend some money on a receiver. I think he's talented, and he's been in that crowded room. I think with a chance to play on the Jets, he could put up some pretty good numbers.
Yeah. Have you heard anything from the Jet contingent there about second-tier quarterbacks in the 4th, 5th round?
Nothing, and they're starting to meet with prospects today. So you'll maybe get some rumors that emerge later this week.
We're really looking forward to that, Jake. If you could get that information, to me, that's the most interesting part of the draft. Is if we take a development, because developmental picks, you just never know, right?
100%.
6th round.
Yeah. Look, and last year, good call, Rich. They didn't take any quarterback, and I felt like you should just take someone, so we didn't have to watch Brady Cook at the end of the year. I'm not saying anyone they would have taken would have been better, but at least it'd be something to point to. It would have made the games more interesting. We had to try and convince ourselves that Brady Cook could somehow be good. Where's Black Gypsy at? Remember that one?
Can you hear me?
Now, Tanner's got to prove it with a rookie quarterback before we trust him. And it's like, he's got Brady Cook, man. You could have gave Kyle Shanahan Brady Cook. I don't know if it would have mattered. I was talking to someone last night who's like, I never wanted to quit my job more than when I had to watch that. This person works for the Jets. I was dying. I was like, I'm like, look, I talk about that for 4 hours a day. My living is built on this disastrous team. I get it. All right, more of your calls here. I appreciate everyone who's tuned in. I do have to end the show by around noon today because I got to get to something, but it's all good news. So if you're on hold, I guarantee we will get to you. We're going to be back with another live show this afternoon, and we have just been cranking out interview after interview. There's a lot I've taped that haven't even dropped yet, so you better be checking the channel. I got some big things cooking. And ladies and gentlemen, speaking of big things, as Maniac Madness Selection Sunday show is this Sunday at 6 Eastern, and the champ's on the line.
The only thing worse than the New York Jets is cheap-ass shoes and head coach blues. At least we got Muji and some first-round picks. Jake, my brother, I'm trying to get hype, but this team sucks, and Joe Bonesy needs me to sell new flippers to this fat dumpster fire.
Bonesy!
Jake, my brother! What's up, man?
Are you ready for the tournament, baby?
I'm ready for the tournament. I've been ready for Radio Row. This has been great. The interviews have been awesome. Loving it. It's starting to feel like we're getting back into the swing of things. And I know you're on a time clock, so I'll hit my points quick. You know, why haven't we discussed a transition tag on Brees? Do you think that would be a possibility? Like
here's the risk, Bonesy. Well, if you use the transition tag on him.
I didn't mean Brees. I meant a franchise tag, Brees, AVT with a transition tag. Like let him
I don't know what the salary is. Yeah, I don't hate that strategy. You would have to get a deal done with Brees, though, because you could only use one tag per player regardless of what it is.
Got it.
So you can't franchise Brees. Yes, exactly. If you extend Brees, you then have the tag to use on AVT if they wanted to take that approach. If you don't extend Brees, they've already said they're going to use the tag. So if you transition tag Brees or franchise tag him, it doesn't matter. You then can't use whichever one you want in AVT, even if they use franchise tag and not transition tag.
I did not know that. So that's actually good information because I would love then to extend Brees because the running back, look what Javonte just got from the Cowboys. That contract is Brees is going to get more than that, but I just let AVT go test the waters on a transition tag and give ourselves a chance to match it if we want to. I want to see what his market is. Is someone going to really throw the bag at him, or are they going to be weary of his injury history? So I would love to transition tag AVT. And about yesterday with the interviews, we went through this last offseason that this is when Glenn pulls out the big balls. I mean, he starts guaranteeing things and, having the confidence and the bravado that we all ate up and soaked up because we had no choice last offseason. So him saying he has a superpower, I think we're in a great position. Honestly, as fans, he just put the ball in his court. He's either going to change it around and actually, become the coach that none of us think he can, or he's going to crash and burn with himself and calling plays, and he's going to go down with the ship. So I kind of like that and I like how he explained everything. I like how he broke it down with Wink, and I kind of do believe what he said about Woody, that Woody's not in there no, I'm not paying you. I pay you all this money, all the things we thought. I think he's honest when Woody goes in there and Woody's like, what can I do to help? Because Woody don't know anything about football anyway. He's asking his son for Madden ratings. So, I do like what I heard especially from Mooj. I love listening to Mooj. I love how he controls the room.
He was also so much better this year than last year at this time. Muji was comfortable. He is feeling himself in a good way. He's comfortable on the job now. You could tell.
It's a beautiful thing, and we all know that Muji with the defensive tackles he found. With Briggs and Phillips at the deadline and the trades he made, we got max value for. So you got to feel confident Muji knows what he's doing. And last thing I'll say is I know we weren't too hyped about the Frank Reich hire at first, but I'm telling you, if you go through the NFL and look at all the offensive coordinators that were hired, there are not many names that we would have been like, oh man, that's who, I'm glad we got him. There was a lot of newer, younger guys. And since we gave up on Tanner, who was a younger mind wasn't proven, but we saw some good things, some bad things. We didn't really know what Tanner was. So I do like that he's got Frank Reich, who develops quarterbacks, knows what he's going to do, runs a different offense of scheme every week. Frank Reich doesn't go into a week saying we're going to do what we do. He plans against he strategizes. So I do like Frank Reich, and I don't know. I'm starting to get a little positive.
You always do. That's why you're the champ. You come around, you can be down in the dumps, and now you're excited. By the way, according to Veteran Jet in the chat, the transition tag for AVT would be $23.39 million. They would never do that.
Oh God. Yep.
Because it's
All
not
right, well-
based on guard, center, tackle, like the annual top 5 highest paid or top 10 highest paid average. It's all lumped under O-line. And you only really see the tackles get the big money, so that inflates it, you know?
I was thinking it was just guard, which I was going to think like 15 to 18. And if someone was going to do that, I don't know. I would have been willing to do that to let AVT have a chance to be healthy because he's a great player when he is. So I don't know. Well, I'd rather go AVT than Simpson and draft a guard behind AVT because AVT has like superstar potential. So I'll let you go. Sorry for taking so much time. As Maniacs tournament is here, and I'm back, baby. Let's go.
Let's go, Mr. Bugsy and Rex.
The Jet fans getting a little crazy.
Oh, the champ is on the line. Things are close to happening. Tonight, the bracket reveal. It's going down. More calls. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy, many are saying, has a great chance of dethroning Bonesy.
Ozzy's the champ, one round at a time. So
now.
great guests. Trevor's a great guest. Graziano. I know some of the chat and in the audience probably resented Graziano a little bit for some of his takes on Rodgers, and I think that humanizes some of these guys that like to have some of these reactions to some players, and we know that Rodgers is a little polarizing. I know you're not going to go out and rip Florio, but checking his nails, checking his watch, drives me a little nuts, Florio. But
yeah, but you know what? I thought it actually was a pretty good conversation besides that.
Yeah, other than that, it was fine. Like some of the nuggets, like you were talking about with the scheduling and stuff, were pretty interesting. It's just that he kind of rubs me the wrong way a little bit, and that's fine. Not everyone's going to be your cup of tea.
Yep.
Just to get back to what Trev was saying a little bit, like if we are pretty confident that one of those 3 wideouts are not going to be there at 16, and we think that there is a drop off after the top 3, doesn't it behoove us to take the one that we like best at 2?
Yes, I just don't think they're going to have the same grade on those guys compared to the edge rushers.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just...
Trevor sold me on Bane, by the way. I'm back in on Bane.
Does he really fit if we're going to a 3-4? I mean, like...
He could do anything, man. He's a dog.
Okay. I'm willing to have my mind changed on that. But the other thing is, like, if we really think that these 3 guys are going to go before 16, then who drops? That's the question, right? Like, there's only so many picks, right? We know that Simpson's going 1. We can control what we do at number 2, whether it's Downs or whatever. If we don't take Downs, he's going before 16. If we're confident those 3 other guys are going, is it Woods at 16? Does Malinois slip, right? Because that's a guy, if he even fell into like the double digits, I might be willing to go up for. I know that some of the other content creators have been against spending more first-round capital on O-line. To me, you build a super offensive line, and everything else comes a little bit easier if you have the play calling. So, like, if Malinois gets in like striking distance and price to go up and get him is like a 3rd rounder next year, I would pay that just to plug him in to replace AVT and Simpson, right? And then maybe you take a center to compete with Myers in the mid rounds, right?
I still don't love the idea of having to take another offensive lineman, but again, if the board might shake out where that's the best move.
To me, you have to get the best players, right?
Agreed.
And I think that Malinois and Downs and there are a couple of, and Jeremiah Love. There are some guys that are kind of the cream of the crop, and maybe Sonny Styles is one of those guys. Who's going to be there at 16 or 16 adjacent for us to kind of scoop up and make this a success without impacting our second round picks this year. That's what I'm starting to think about right now. I really appreciate your time, Jake.
Kyle, excellent call as always. Appreciate you. All right, bit of a time crunch here, so I'm going to make sure that we get to everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, let it rip. B Heights, you're next.
What's going on, Jake?
B Heights.
What's going on, Jake?
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm gonna try
Can
to
you
make
hear
it quick
me?
because I know you said by noon you got to be on and going. A couple things. Caleb Downs. I read an interesting comment somebody made. On a Facebook group page. You tell me what you think. If Ed Reed was at number 2, would you take him?
Absolutely.
They made that comparison. How do you feel about that?
Well, if you tell me he's Ed Reed, I'm in. I don't know if he's Ed Reed.
All right. Another thing. I got 2 more. So, what's the next one? Will Levis. You don't love it? 2 years?
It'd be, to me, a 1-year deal with someone in front of him. He's not just getting the job. I gotta have Carr or Cousins or Mariota, someone more proven that is QB1 in all likelihood, but give Levis a chance to at least compete for the job if you do that.
Is he under contract?
I believe he's a free agent.
Okay. I don't know. For some reason, I feel like, Will Levis has potential. He's about 6'4". He's a big dude. He got an arm on him. I feel like under the right circumstances with the right coaching.
Actually, let me clarify. He is under contract.
He is under contract, right?
Yeah. Saleh said yesterday, weird saying Saleh, talking about the Titans, said he met with Will Levis recently, told him to have the best offseason of his life. Saleh said Levis is talented and looks forward to having him on the team. So you'd have to trade something for him if you want him. I'm probably not going to give up anything for him. I thought they were just going to cut him.
Yeah, I wouldn't give up too much for him neither. But if he was like a free agent, then I would definitely consider him. So besides that, I think Kirk would be our best bet, But okay, so moving on from that, onto something that you mentioned, which I found quite interesting, was the wide receiver. Obviously, with the wide receiver and his, injuries in the draft, best bet would be him at, I don't like him at 16. I'd say the second round. But you said Romeo Doubs. I also like Wendell Robinson.
I do too. I don't know if he's a great fit for what Reich runs. I read Michael Nania's story on that. You could read that on JetX. There's more in depth on how he would fit. But I like the person. He's proven he can handle playing in New York. He's coming off a good year. They gave him a chance to be more of just a playmaker on the outside and run deeper routes and not just be like a check down guy in the slot. And he performed well this year. He had a chance to get a lot more targets because Malik Neighbors got hurt, obviously. So I don't hate that move.
Yeah, I agree. So in regards to the draft, I'd love Downs. I don't know. I would love Downs at number 2 because I feel like, we need a safety that can have an impact, and I say take the defense in a different direction moving forward. I like the guy from, I'm a UM fan, so I definitely like, our guy from the U. And besides that, Romeo Doubs, Wendell Robinson, with either of those two, I'd be happy. And if we get the wide receiver, he's from Arizona, right? The wide receiver, is he from Arizona?
Jordan Tyson. Yep.
Yeah. So the wide receiver from Arizona, I wouldn't mind him in the second round, but
again, B Heights, great call, man. If he falls to 33, I understand there's risk with the injuries, but that's a worthy risk. All right, because that doesn't set you back if you miss. Or maybe someone else really wants him, and now all of a sudden pick 33, you could get a lot more than what you could traditionally get in a trade back if he actually fell out of round 1. So I like that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to wrap up our show shortly. So I got 5 brows, and then because I have a hard out, Neil won't get to make all 13 points, but he'll close us out. Hello, 5 brows.
Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up, brother? It must be fun being at the combine. It must be interesting over there.
Oh, it's a blast, man. Things are happening. Daniel Jeremiah is right in front of me. He's all booked up today. I tried.
What a draft! That's a draft goat right there.
Yeah, we got everyone here, man. The Jets are over there doing their thing.
That's sick.
Minnesota Vikings are behind me. The Dolphins, the quote fireman Ed are right there.
Let's go.
Houston football's back there. Oh yeah. Things are happening inside the Indiana
That's
Convention Center.
I'm excited to see what I want to see some of the meetings like some of the interviews with the wide receivers. I can't wait to see like what Lemon wants. Like, I do any of these guys want to play for the Jets? I want to hear that. And I
They're
saw
going to say
that
yes.
Arvo,
They're going to say they met with the Jets, and of course, like Ruben Bain was asked, what would it mean to be the number 2 pick in the draft? They're all going to say the right thing. No one's going to say they don't want to go number 2 overall.
Yeah, Brees wants to. I mean, it looks like we're going to tag Brees. Looking at Muji's comments yesterday, it looks like he wants to maybe get a quarterback at some point in the draft. It was sketchy. Like when we brought up someone brought up Ty Simpson, he was kind of talking like we're going to look into him. I hope we don't draft him. And Arvell Reese, he said that he wants to be an edge. So that's kind of interesting. Like he wants to be a off the ball linebacker, but he wants to be an edge. But he says he doesn't have experience being an edge. He has a lot to learn to do to be an edge.
It's a projection pick, but the physical specimen he is, teams are going to be heavily interested, including the Jets. Trevor Sikkema was great with this. He's like, if he dominates the combine the way many expect him to, it's going to be a real conversation. If he doesn't, then maybe Ruben Bain and David Bailey emerge as more likely options for the Jets because they might be, safer from the standpoint they've actually exceeded and excelled at the collegiate level at the edge role, whereas Reese hasn't just been given the opportunities based on how Ohio State used him. He wasn't being used there on a play-in, play-out basis the same way Bain and Bailey were.
It's like a high-risk, high-reward situation because he's a freak of nature. But it's like Sonny Styles looks like a more of a can't-miss prospect to me than Arvell. Like I feel like Sonny's going to plug and play right away and be great. Arvell's he has to be in the right system, and I'm a little worried the Jets is not going to have the right coaching staff to use him properly because the guy's a superstar in the making.
Well, can I calm you down by just telling you a simple fact? We have Aaron Glenn.
Play call is my superpower, really.
And play calling is his superpower, Fibros. That's the bottom line. Ladies and gentlemen, today's closer, sing along.
Get ready for Neil. He will make 13 points about the New York Jets and maybe hump a Patriots jersey. Get ready for Neil. He's probably smoking a big fat cigar and burning his house to the ground. That's Neil.
Jake, I'll be quick. Want to wish Peter Castro a happy 80th birthday. Oh, I don't think he's 80. I call him Peter Fields Castro. Because remember a year ago at this time,
he believed.
He said we were going to win 10 or 11 games and Justin Fields was going to be a great quarterback and Aaron Glenn, we were going to turn it around and we were going to be a great team. Do you remember those takes, Peter's takes?
I could never forget.
All he responds back to me is 17-0, Neil's prediction. That's his snapback on me. Well, I will tell you this. Every year, I've said this since I've been on your show, I always make a bet for the Super Bowl. In case the Jets one day ever get in it, the only way I could afford to go is if I have a bet, because I have to take my boys, that I'll have to have a bet. Now I may have to take my grandkids. I'll have to have a bet to be able to afford to go there because I plan on doing a full week in the Super Bowl, the whole gambit, so it's going to cost probably, I figure I used to be able to pinpoint maybe $20,000 to do the Super Bowl. What do you think? What do you think 4 people is going to cost in 2026? God willing, the Jets ever make the Super Bowl, Jake?
Tickets, hotels, flights, food. You're going to do
per person. What do you think it's going to cost?
At least $25K a person.
There you go. So
and that might be on the lower side, realistically, because think about it. If the Jets were ever in the Super Bowl, it'd be the most expensive Super Bowl ticket of all time.
Yeah, but you know what's ironic? It would cost me the cheapest to be able to get that $100,000 this year versus any other year. Right now, we're 25,000 to 1 to win the Super Bowl, Jake. Think about that. 25,000 to 1. In 2023, when we got Aaron Rodgers, our Super Bowl odds were plus 1,600. That's how much hope we had. I think we were the 4th or 5th team to win the Super Bowl in 2023. Last 2024, we were plus 2,500. Now we're plus 25,000. I mean, Jesus Christ. So that means, Jake, again, it's going to cost what? $250 to what is 25,000 to 1? What do I got to put down to get $100,000? $250?
I think you got to put. I'm bad at math, Neil. Wouldn't that be $100 if it's plus 25,000?
Right. So $250 gets me $100,000.
Sure. I don't know if that's correct. I'll take your word for it.
All right. So I have to put 250. I used to have to put 500 up to be able to get to the Super Bowl, just to get a ticket in it for 2 or 3
Do we need to waste time with this math right now, though?
All right. So let's forget about that. The one thing I want to say, I like Reuben Bain because he's a bigger guy. I want bulk on the defensive side of the football. I want linebackers that weigh more than 215 pounds, like Jamie and Sherwood. I want guys on the defensive line that are big and beastly, that can give pressure up the middle. I'm not so much, these edge guys. I mean, I don't see that being the way we want to be. I want to stop the run quickly, efficiently, and I want big guys on the defense, Jake. That's what I want. I'll take a safe. I don't want a safety, to be chasing down long passes after we give quarterbacks 5 seconds to throw the ball. That's not going to do us any good. We need pressure up the middle. We need big guys. We have to focus on free agency. I look at these other teams. When you looked at the Super Bowl, right? Who made the biggest impression in the playoffs on the defensive side of the ball? It was these big guys. It was the guys up the middle. That the 300-pound guys were getting pressure up the middle and forcing guys off the pocket. That's what we need. I don't care who it is and what it is. Let's get some big, strong men.
These goddamn exploding cigars. I gotta go, Jake. I'll call back later. Shit.
If we've learned anything from today's show, Neil wants big, strong, beefy men to be on the New York Jets. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a show. Thanks to everyone who tuned in. If you want behind-the-scenes access, join the Patreon. You get bonus shows, members-only videos on YouTube if you're a channel member. Plus, on Patreon, you get access to the Discord. So I recommend you become a channel member and a Patreon member. But Discord access is only for the Patreon. Name in the intro. We're going to update the list of names at the beginning of the month. So a couple days left in February. Make sure you join the Patreon at patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. Selection Sunday for Asmaniac Madness. This Sunday, 6 Eastern. Be on the lookout. It's going down. We'll raffle away the signed Wayne Corbett helmet during our afternoon show. I want to thank all of you. Big thank you to our amazing guests. We're back with even more this afternoon. Until then, I'll talk to you guys soon. As always, JETS, 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 Jets. Hit it, ladies and gentlemen. And what are we hitting exactly? Oh, I'll tell you what we're hitting. We're hitting a little Beast Disco.
I'm Beast Breaker and I love Harry Potter. I'm a magical fart wizard. Abracadabra, bitches. I'm gonna blast ass in my diaper. Get me a bag of dicks. Get me a bag of dicks. Get me a bag of dicks. Bag of dicks. Keep up. Bag of dicks.
Oh, hi. Jake wants me to ask you to click on the like button.
That's right, Lane. And if they don't subscribe to the Jake Asman Show, this team may never win another game. Let's go, Jets.